something else. They don't learn in these silos. They don't learn in this kind of a way. Further, we hold to the assumption that every child, as Susan says, can learn the same thing in the same way, in the same place, at the same pace. And that just ain't true. We now know how many types of intelligence there are. We know all these different learning styles, and we ought to know by now that some kids learn fast and they soar. If we just get out of their way, they'll be done. They'll help somebody else, and others require more patience. They require more time. And still we do batch processing. Still we standardize the approach, in spite of the fact that we know this stuff, when all of the evidence would point to the necessity and now the affordability of radical customization. But you see, our idea about quality is find the one best way and to standardize. So it really is the business model that's the problem. Now, meanwhile, as Susan's already foreshadowed, this disruptive innovation has been lurking just outside this dominant business model. It's growing. It had to be my turn. Maybe this is the sound of disruption. The dozen or so companies doing the online and producing this software now have growth rates of 30 to 40% a year, and I don't care what the denominator is. So pretty soon that gets to be pretty big. And it's just like every other classic disruption. The first generation of this stuff was not very good. It barely mimicked what you could get in the classroom. And then we went through sort of the 2.0 phase in which it began to get better, more colorful, more interesting, a wider scope of offerings. And Susan knows more about this than I do, and surely Terry does as well. But I think of the online platform now as moving rapidly into the 3.0 phase, in which if you go out there and you look at this stuff, it is more robust, it's more interactive, it's more differentiated by learning style, and in most areas of the curriculum, you can find now something better than you're going to get in 99% of live classrooms. You can go to the British Museum and have a tour like you probably couldn't get if you were there live. You can dive with divers off of northeastern Australia into the coral reefs. You can learn to play the guitar. You can learn a language. Check out the Chem Lab course. It's better than anything you're going to get in anybody's classroom. Go to the library, get the Bunsen burner so you know how that smells as well. So that is out there, and the case we make in the book is that by 2018, alarms are going to go off. And this will inexorably, no matter what you believe and no matter what your preferences are, no matter how much resistance you want to mobilize, this is going to be the dominant way that education is conducted, because it's already the dominant way that kids are learning. And if you think there's a moral case to resist it, forget it. This industry still has a third dropping out and another fifth just checking the box, who complain when they talk to pollsters that they resent going to school to watch teachers work. So if that weren't the moral imperative, the technology thing is absolutely going to run over all of it. So as I said, we can either learn to innovate, we can learn to open to these platforms. The two big theories of the two big elements of a theory of action that come out of all the research across all the industries are, if you want to involve yourself in the disruption and not just be the object of it, you have to provide separate space and radical autonomy. And if we had time, I could tell you every industry in which somebody has survived the disruptive innovation, they've created separate space to do something new, and they've given the people in that space radical autonomy. But as I say, there is an alternative. Learn Mandarin.